quite a bit of information, and I hope we don't put anybody to sleep here tonight, because this, we want to wake people up, not put people to sleep. So let's try and hold our questions to the end. There might be quite a few. I'll try and run through this information as quickly as possible. About 3 years ago, I authored a paper. I titled it "The Sound of Silence," after getting information from individuals who were getting out of mind control, both what's called satanic ritual abuse as well as MK Ultra victimization. One of the things that one of the victims told me was that part of the programming ties around the music industry. Songs are used to keep the programming in. How many of you know what I'm talking about when you hear a song that you like? You're constantly thinking about it all the time, right? Well, this is the reality of many of these mind control victims. There was a song that was quite popular in the 60s and 70s called "The Sound of Silence." Now, if you listen to that and look at the lyrics, as I've shown in my paper, it's all about the Ivy League, specifically Harvard and Yale, and the mind control experimentations that were camouflaged at that time as human performance experimentation. Okay, a lot of this came out, and we'll explain that as the process goes. So I title this presentation "The Sound of Silence," and what I subtitle it is "The Antithesis of Freedom," and that's the title of the presentation tonight. And we need to go back in time to understand what's happening now. It's good to get remember the past, because there's clues given, of course, in the past. Now, this presentation tonight, I hope, will be quality enough to put on the internet, on YouTube. I think this is very important now to post, and I got all the pieces put together. And I want to, everybody here that's from Utah, I want action tonight. We've got some people here that can make it happen. If you think it's violent enough to be waving the flag on this thing, by all means, well, I think we should. All right, let's go back to this guy, Dwight David Eisenhower, hero of Normandy and D-Day, President of the United States following Harry Truman's role. He was president from the later 1950s, left office in 1960. Just before John F. Kennedy took the presidency, President Eisenhower gave a final televised farewell speech on the date January 17th of 1961. And here's basically what he said that I'd like to highlight. Come on in. Time?
You may want to, should we try to just level that out?
Yeah, that's
be less distracting.
Okay.
Oh, perfect. Much better.
Okay. And this televised address is on YouTube, and I advise you to go and just Google it up and listen to it for yourself. It's amazing. Again, keep in mind, Eisenhower, 5-star general, hero of Normandy, D-Day. He's a career military man. He owes really much of his existence to the military, especially the United States military and the Allies. So it's kind of strange that he would say this, quote, "In the councils of government we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist," he said. "We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes." It goes on to say, quote, "We should take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals, so that security and liberty may prosper together." He goes on to say, I don't want to go into all this, he says, "Today the solitary inventor is a thing of the past. It's been replaced by something called DARPA. Okay, the universities are now being controlled by a centralized source of invention. Okay? So these are all clues as something that he was very, very concerned about. Let me just remind you these questions to ponder. Again, Dwight David Eisenhower was the military man, commanding general of the Allied war effort against Adolf Hitler. I want you to ask yourself in your mind this rhetorical question: what technology being advanced by the so-called military-industrial complex in the early 60s in the nation's Ivy League universities could have caused this amazing man such concern? What? You know, back then we were in the Cold War. There was the escalation of nukes against the Soviet Union. There was all this civil defense problems that the Soviet Union was advancing. No, he didn't say that. He said we must guard against advances in the military-industrial complex. What new technology had the greatest potential, in his words, for the disastrous rise of misplaced power? Eight-track tapes. A good one. You got? Okay, that's the question. What technology? What would shake this man to his core? Mind control. The same thing, Jesse Ventura and his conspiracy series, when asked him what of all the topics he discussed scared him the most, he said the subject on mind control. All right. Well, it should. It should concern every citizen in this country, is what I'm going to show you here tonight. All right. And what new technology could possibly endanger America's liberties or democratic processes? Because it's so devious and dastardly, you don't even know what's being done to you. Eisenhower understood this, I submit. He knew this guy, and he had all the inside information on this guy. Anybody recognize this man? Goebbels, very good. This man is the author of mind control experimentation with his scientists. Okay. If you look at Goebbels' resume, his CV, his curriculum vitae, you find out he was a student of Austria's Anton Mesmer. He was an adept, a master of what's called neuro-linguistic programming, or utilizing mass hypnosis through speech techniques and specific frequencies of sound. Goebbels was the man behind the curtain for Hitler and why Hitler was so charming and so charismatic. It wasn't so much what Hitler said, it's how he said it and the techniques used in getting the German people to salute him. Now, during World War II, we know of a group called the Office of Strategic Services, the OSS. It eventually became known today as the Central Intelligence Agency. Well, you may have heard some of this before, but I'm going to try to piece some of this together for you. In the Nazi concentration camps, there were many scientists working to perfect the control of the human mind. All right. Following the conclusion of World War II, we had the problem of the Soviet troops, the communist troops in Europe. The beginning of the Cold War was there. Major General Gehlen of the Gestapo, the head spy chief of Hitler's Nazi groups, turned himself in to the Allies and made him an offer. He said, look what I have this spy network throughout all of the Soviet Union already, through the Eastern Bloc countries, the Czechoslovakia and those countries. They already had it all set. The United States would have had to work by reasoning 15 to 20 years to replicate it. So a deal was made with Gehlen and Allen Dulles and the OSS officials